Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Landscaping to the Point. How is everybody doing? We are back live again this Sunday. Me and Josh, JC, is still out. He is having a fun of a time wherever he is at. Hopefully, it's not too bad, but we are back. So, the poll we had last week, which was what is it called, sauce or gravy that you put on your pasta? And the poll came out both on mine and Josh's end that it is sauce. So if you're calling it gravy when you go to get some Italian food, I don't know what kind of place you're at that they go ahead and put gravy on your pasta. But if you do, something's definitely wrong there. So I don't.
Get some turkey with the side of spaghetti.
Yeah. I've never heard of anybody go somewhere and say, "Hey, I'll have some gravy on my pasta," but I guess there's some weird people out there, or people just want to call it weird. Maybe some Italians are out there that know something different, but if you do, let us know because I've never heard of that. So, but we are here. We're always trying to get straight to the point. It is now March, so it is not March Madness. It's called Mulch Madness. We are going full bore into mulch cleanup.
Mulch is here! Promises made! Promises delivered!
The mulch has been delivered. The mulch has been delivered. He just keeps going on about that. But mulch is here. It's here. You guys probably do a lot of mulch. Probably, I know you guys do a lot of hardscaping. What is one mulch that you hate to do? I mean, color, brand. We use a lot of bulk mulch. But we use a lot of black. We've always gone to a lot of black. For years, we did brown. We talked people into black mulch. The one mulch that we hate the most is red. I hate red mulch with a passion. I don't know about you. Which mulch do you hate, Josh?
I think red's ugly. We usually don't. I think I've installed it like twice in my career. We usually try to talk people out of it, but personally, for me, it's the black. It's the dyed black. It gets everything. Nails, it goes on your skin.
Oh, yeah.
It's on your clothes. So I'm not a fan of doing black mulch.
Yeah, Oxford Lawn in Florida says he hates red too. I totally agree with you. I mean, it gets everywhere. I mean, black mulch does dye your hands a little bit too. I just think it looks more professional on some of the jobs, or if it's been, if it's brown, if it's been chopped up a couple times, like 4 times usually, it gives it that nice dark look, but it still fades to a brown. So I kind of like the black. But yeah, I hate red. We have two that we do every year. And I'll tell you what, we wait to the last minute because it stains everything, all our equipment, all our trailers, everything. So that's definitely something I hate red altogether. So, but how much do you ever calculate?
It would
I
be
mean,
more
I
of a
know back in the
Florida
day,
thing.
maybe, I don't know. Oxford, do you guys use a lot more red? I wonder if you use a lot more red over black. I think it depends on the area too. Because I know some people use pine mulch, so the pine straw or whatever it is. I don't know. We don't use any of that stuff up here, but we used to use pine nuggets, which was chopped up even thicker. But did you ever calculate how much mulch you use in a year when you were doing a lot more mulch?
Yeah. We are up to. I mean, on a slow year, we did like a couple hundred yards. Like strictly residential. I mean, the past few years, man, it's been minimal. We don't do really much mulch. This year, I think I have like 270 yards quoted as of today. Quoted, not sold.
Right.
But yeah, I would definitely go in because my whole thing was like basically analysis and getting statistics of like, all right, if I used 80 yards this year, would it make sense to get a couple tractor trailer loads the next year and maybe save $1,000 on doing that? So
Right. Yeah, we've looked into that. We actually opened up our shop area a little bit more. We're looking more to get the bulk mulch delivered straight to our shop because pretty much for what we can get, I think it's 75 yards at a time. We end up saving, I think, about $1,500 in a year by just going to their, our local place picking up. So I think, yeah, we've been looking at trying to do that because usually we go through probably about 100 yards of black mulch a year. And then the brown just depends, yeah, on what we go through on that. So, yeah, I think that's more what we're looking to do. Oxford says he used pine straw, but they use very much mulch, not much mulch. They do a lot more stone, he said. So, yeah, pine straw seems to be a big thing down in the southern states. I don't know what it is about it. It must be easier, or there's not that much mulch available down there is what I'm wondering, because I know we have a lot of trees that get cut down here up here. So yeah, but so now you were talking about keeping it in your you thought about keeping it at your shop, saving some money. Is it easier for you to do it that way if you did it that way over stopping at a place and picking it up nonstop?
But over the past few years, no. Like we go to a local provider we've been using since I've started. Even like this year with the 200 plus that we've quoted, let's say we get all that, I still don't think that I would have that drop ship at the shop and take up the room. I think I would have it drop shipped to the sites. These are commercial sites, and then just continue with the residential, going where we gotta go. I mean, we do save a substantial amount of money if we have it trailing in, but again, I lose that square footage down my shop.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it depends on how much area you have at your shop. I know our shop's over an acre wide of an area, so we have plenty of room for it. But I think it's just depends on the area. We used to do one big place that we did, and we could have had a drop ship there when we did a big job 2 years ago. It called for 150 yards of mulch, and we just ended up having to run it back and forth because it had to be sectioned off just right by the EPA, and we had to have all this kinds of stuff to mark it out and fences around it. And so we just kind of decided we just haul it in, daily on a job site. So kind of took a little bit longer to mulch that job, but yeah, I think if you can have it hauled to a job site, it's a lot easier sometimes.
And that's all I'll do, because a lot of these sites, these bigger commercial sites, we just have a drop ship with the trailer right there, 100 yards at a time, and then either have the front end loader or a bobcat. We have a bobcat with, I think it's like a 1 yard snow bucket. It's like a light material and snow bucket, and 1 yard at a time rather than a half yard. Or I think my big front end loader is 3 yards, so you do it that way and just drop it in different sections to speed things up. We'll see which way it goes this year. If we don't get those bids, then we'll probably we'll haul from supply yards.
Nice. So now you just haul it in your big dump truck, correct?
My dump, yeah.
Okay. So we use our dump trailer mostly for a lot of it, unless we have a big enough job and we can just dump it on site, and then we'll go ahead and move it around. But have you ever wanted to get one of the DMT trailers with the mulch made on it to save time?
What's a DMT trailer?
You never seen from Dawson Manufacturing from Nick
No.
from Mulchmate that has
I know what Mulchmate is, but I don't know is DMT a different type of trailer? Oh, is that what the attachment's called?
Right. Yeah. It's the whole trailer is pretty much, it has a flatbed trailer, and it can hold, I think it can hold 70 yards, I think, at a time. They have one now. It can hold 70 yards at one time in a trailer.
So I've seen that online. I remember it first came out a couple of years ago, and it seems cool. It seems really cool. But I feel like if you have asphalt chutes on your door to either your dump trailer or your dump truck, that's pretty much the same thing. I think I would invest in a block blower before I invested in something like that. That just doesn't seem to fit the model that I would go with mulch. It's still, what's the convenience that you're a little bit cleaner with dropping it into a wheelbarrow? Your production rate, you can't sweep up every 10 minutes, the 3 wheelbarrows. So to me, that just doesn't seem like the model I would go after. I want to see more mulch getting down, so I'd probably invest the money into a block blower.
Okay.
Did you use one of those?
I have not used one of those. We would love to try to use one. I think we would use it only because we don't usually do big enough places. I mean, our biggest place that we do at one time is like 15 tons. So, I mean, literally, I think it would be easier and save back breaking on shoveling um, because we don't have anything big. But I mean, when we did the big job, yeah, I think bark blowing would probably be the best just because it saves time. And then we did run into one of our mulch places that we buy from one of our suppliers bought a couple mulch bulk sprayers, so they're willing to do it for us, so we don't have to be on site if we wanted to pick up a bigger place. So I
No.
mean that we just charge up, upcharge a little bit and let them go out and spray it for us, and we're done. So I mean, would that be something that you would probably do if you could get into it instead of buying the whole truck and trailer and try to spray it yourself? Or
Well, I think I'd start with a tow behind unit, the 4 to 5 yards. So like that's what working like on these ones. Me and my foreman are going through, and we're trying to come up with a game plan. If we get them, where it would be, we just drop ship, have a skid there, and load it as it goes. But I'm big on subbing, where like I mean, if we had a massive job, I would probably just sub a truck to come in. I think when I checked the rates, I think the rate on the bark blow is something like $695 a day. And then like $2,000 for the week or something like that, and then $5,000 for the month. So if you don't meet your production rate too slow, then it's a waste. So subbing it out like a big truck would probably be an option.
yeah,
Or
I think so. I mean, if you can, yeah, I mean, if you could afford it, yeah. I have seen the smaller ones. I think the smaller ones work out good. I know there's a company here in our town that has two of them, and they do, I think he said he does like 30 yards a day with it, because usually they just have a dump truck follow with them and just dump on site, and then they just scoop it up and put it in the trailer and move it around from spot to spot. So I mean, yeah, that probably would work out great for you guys. I think if especially if you can get that 270-yard job, I mean, that might work out better in the long run.
It's various sites. It's 6 various sites that add up to most of that. So
that's not bad. Yeah, I think that would work out great. Yeah. Now, what's the cost difference? Now, could you rent those, or do you have to buy that straight out?
the bark blower.
Yeah, the smaller one.
I rented that. That was so the tow behind is $695 for the day. So
Okay.
But you just have to make sure. So I mean, essentially, it does. Think about it like this: if you're paying $200 a guy, and you got 5 guys, but you can get the bark blower in there, and you have 2 guys run it, your production rates are going to go a little faster. So you got one guy assisting with the hose, running the skid steer, filling it, and one guy actually drawing it. Some guys might say you break even. I think your production rates are going to go through the roof when you do that. Especially the straightaway shots. They'll be able to knock out. They'll be able to knock out most of those sites in one day.
Yeah, I think you could. I think if you had one and you're moving it just perfectly, I think you could do probably 4 or 5 sites in one day, especially using that, because I think with having the mulch there ahead of time, or even drop that day, you're going to be able to move faster. Like you said, the production rate's going to go up a lot higher. So I think that $695 is just a great investment really on it when it comes to a bigger sites like that.
And I will say, so I know like when we've quoted in the past, I'm roughly around like $125 per yard installed. No prep, no nothing. That's just bringing it, throw it in. That's not edging. That's not bed prep. That's nothing. That's just delivering it and spreading it. I know a lot of the guys in my service area are still around like $75 to $85 a yard sprayed in. So it shows you where their production rates are. They know they can move a lot faster with 1 or 2 guys in their truck. Some of them are just 1 if they're on a residential. They fill it up. So it shows you that obviously some of these companies go a little bit lower because they can be a little bit more efficient with that machine. So I would definitely go for it.
Right. I think you should. Now, do you see a lot of trend in your area where people are going from mulch to stone? We're seeing a lot more people wanting to switch out of their mulch and go into stone.
No, because people around my area are cheap and they don't want the upfront cost off the bat. They break it down where like if stone goes in and it's $3,000 for stone, they'll stick with you $500 a year for the mulch. There are some people that will make the change. But I think that's more of like a warmer climate type thing rather than, Massachusetts, anywhere up here from, Lawrence to Boston, Worcester. See people with drip edge, use it for drip edge around the border of a house, but not full on stone beds. It's tacky looking too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. So now you were talking about prep. Do you charge extra for prep when you go to do it, or okay? So edging, pulling weeds. Do you guys put like weed barrier down and spray if you need to?
I don't use weed barrier, but we'll put like snapshot down, something like a preen or a snapshot. Edging the beds is, per linear foot. The beds are typically, I'll go and look at them if they need, 3 hours worth of weeding, then we bid it out, our labor rate times 3 plus however many bodies are on the job.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. I mean, we try to put it into our regular fee, but I think certain things we're trying to upsell as like the weed control and putting the snapshot down, because I think in the long run you're not going to benefit if you don't upcharge for certain stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely. So you said you charge by linear foot. Do you do it all by hand or do you use a machine? Because I know Paul Camara uses all by hand, does his all by hand, and I know he does a great job at edging when he does that. I see a lot of people that use the bed edgers that make it look a lot better than anything, but I still feel like edging it by hand sometimes looks 100% better than, bed edging.
I do it by hand.
Do it by hand. Okay.
We have like redefiners and stuff, but depending on if they were maintained or not, that can sometimes be a pain in the ass. So it's a little bit more crisp by hand. It takes a little bit longer, but if you can run through it, great. If it's not maintained, we charge by linear foot if it's just a touch up.
Okay.
If it's like, if you have like a fledge, a fake edge or anything like that, or it's not actually established, then it's hourly.
Okay. That's not bad. I mean, I think that'd be the easier part of doing. I think a lot of bars we maintain because some of them we do, our weekly maintenance. So we kind of go and edge them with the weed whips. So we kind of keep that edge going till the next year. But I think half of them, I say we probably do by hand just to be on the safe side because it's just easier that way. Because nowadays with you have electric fences, you have cable lines. They don't bury them that deep, and a lot of those bed edgers go ahead and hit them real quick. And I know you can see it, feel something if there's a line there or something quicker with a regular shovel than you can on a bed edge. Yeah. Now, do you get your stuff? This is one thing I've kind of pushed to on certain jobs is calling ahead to 811 before you bed edge, so that way I know exactly where certain things are.
So I'll be honest with you, I've never called 811 for edging ever.
Okay. All right. I've had an issue at 2 of our places. So there's a couple of them that we call ahead just to be on the safe side because of, like I said, because of the electric fence, because of the cable line. I mean, 9 times out of 10, that cable over in our area has been getting laid left and right. That literally we found that cable line that's literally buried 2 inches in the ground. So I mean, when you edge it and you're trying to get a nice 3-inch deep, edge on it, you're gonna hit that right away. So yeah,
I've only had once or twice issues with very high buried fiber optic cables. It kind of got to the lesson where, like, if you're fighting something, don't just drop kick it with the edger. Clean it off, see what it is. But for like dog fences and stuff, we tell people that they got to do their due diligence and call their company that installed it and have it marked out. We won't. I mean, a dog fence is a splice and a splice. It's no big deal. They make it a huge deal if they got to come out. It's got to be them. You cut and splice and as long as you can find the break. So no big deal. We've broken a couple, we fixed them. But I mean, if we've had jobs where we've done thousands of linear feet of edging and a dog fence breaks. Sorry, it's not on us. That's why we tell them to have their company. Dig Safe won't mark that out here.
Right.
I know
ours don't either. Yeah.
They only mark public utilities, not private.
Right. Yeah, I know you're pretty much stuck with that. I think, like you said, electric dog fences are a lot easier. You just connect it real quick with a wire nut, and you're done. So I mean, those are a lot easier. But I think cable lines where it's kind of one of those things that you don't know where they're at. But we do make our customers responsible for contacting them if we decide not to. So that way, we're not at fault if we do catch one on accident, because you never know. I mean, you can't always trust 811 or Dig Safe, because they not 9 times out of 10 they're not going to get it correct. So definitely, you got to make sure you do your due diligence on that. So, here we go. Okay, so now you use Bobcat and you use the dump truck from going site to site. Now, when you go to wheelbarrow, are you guys using a single wheelbarrow, double wheelbarrow, or do you like to use the Bobcat on site? So 9 times out of 10.
The Bobcat to come in, it'd have to be a large site.
Okay.
You'd have to be, you'd want to move like 5-6 yards at a time while guys are prepping. But typically, people, we've had the dual wheelbarrows, but guys seem to gravitate towards the single. I think it's just easier to maneuver. But we use the masonry wheelbarrows. I think they're Tough X or something. They're the orange ones with the silver handles. I think they're Tough X. They're really good barrels, but we'll run with wheelbarrows. We know how much we should run per guy, per yard, to make sure we're doing it efficient. It's all about placement and stuff, but yeah. So typically wheelbarrows, and then if it's a big site, then you would bring a skid loader.
Okay. So now, do you send a certain crew out and doing that, or do you guys all try to jump together when you guys do a mulch job?
All hands on deck just to get it done.
Okay. So the faster to get it done, the faster to get out of there and move on to the next job.
Yeah, get it in and out. If it's bed prepping, it might be like a certain crew. They'll go over and trim the bushes, weed the beds, edge everything. And then usually what we'll do, if we got a lot that comes in, we'll knock the cleanups out week 1, and then week 2 we just go ham with the mulching. It'll just be straight focus on mulching. So you don't need extra tools, you don't need an extra trailer or anything. It's just load up the dump truck with as much. I had a 6x12 dump trailer with really high size. I think we could fit something like 20 yards in or something like that. So we haul that around. We don't have that anymore, but I think we can get maybe close to like 10 in the dump truck.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Now, okay, we have multiple sites that we get our mulch from. Mostly we get a lot of our mulch from one site. So now, do you have multiple places you get your mulch from, or do you go to one person? Okay.
I go to
and why is it?
I go to Mass Mulch on Lowell Junction Road in Andover. So if you're in that Andover, Bob and Phil at Mass Mulch. The reason, for me, when I first started, I was offering customers like an idiot. I was doing, no money up front. I was trying to get someone to help me out, and no one would. And Bob at Mass Mulch was the first one that was like, yeah, come in, let's talk, we'll work it out. He would give me to the end of the week to pay it. And I was grateful for that. And I probably pay a little bit more than most places, but because he's just been so good to me since the beginning, I stick with that. I stick to my guys,
Right.
And
right.
they've been good to me. I try to give them all my business and refer them when I can.
Right. That's good. Now, I like to check it out every year just to be on the safe side. Do you check out to make sure, or you pretty much you're just like, I'm just going to stick with him and stay with him? And
no, I have to check, because like on certain big jobs, I might tell him like, hey, it's 100 yards here. This place is $400 cheaper as anything. And that's the thing. I can talk to him. If he can, he can't. I usually will still unbuy. I mean, dude, I'm talking these guys would stay late during fall cleanups to let me dump. They would give me the key to go in after hours to dump. So again, that type of shit goes a long way with me. Where I'd rather pay the extra money to have that relationship, knowing that I have some guy that has my back and I have him, rather than just trying to save a couple bucks. If I'm out of town. Now, if I'm out of town, our basic service area is a certain, that Greater Lawrence area, Greater Lowell. That's when we'll go to him. But if we're working in Boston, Cambridge, Worcester, then those are about an hour either direction. Obviously, we're not going to haul down there. We'll use whoever we can in that area.
Right. I agree with you. I mean, I think it just depends. I think having a good relationship with your mulch supplier is the best thing to have, and be able to have that. Like you said, to be able to, they can be like, okay, here, you go ahead and get what you got to get or whatever. Usually both places I get my mulch and usually a little bit extra every time, because it's like, they know we're coming there. We're not going to shop around if we're going to, we're stuck here. We enjoy being where we are with our mulch suppliers, and our dirt suppliers that we don't try to go away from it. We used to do that in the past where we used to go and try to price it every year and say, oh, okay, well, this place is cheaper, so we're going to try over there. And we did that for a couple of years, and we came from the 1 year their mulch for some reason wasn't keeping color long enough. So we ended up, saying something to them in the middle of the season, like, hey, your mulch isn't staying color. The color's fading fast. Something's not right. Well, they didn't try to fix it. So we kind of went away from them. And, it wasn't like they were like, hey, we'll go ahead and fix it, or we'll give you some mulch for free or whatever. They were just like, okay, thanks for letting us know. And that was it. So we kind of moved away from that one. And now we're more happier with where we're at. So.
Yeah, there's merit behind that, though. And I get that. I mean, for me personally, I just, I try to stick to specific suppliers as much as I can. Like I have one main hardscape supplier in Tewksbury, Mass, Tewksbury Masonry. I have a grassy guy, I have a mulch guy, my disposal guy is my mulch guy, I get a dumpster guy, I get a toilet guy, and I try to use these people on the regular. Obviously, we're working out of in a different city. That doesn't always work. They may not go down that far. So, then I have to develop different connections in different areas. But as far as my service area, I try to be as loyal as I can to some of these people, because a lot of these people have worked with me in the past when things haven't worked out on my end the best.
Right. I think that's the best thing, is if you can have a great relationship, just kind of like with a dealership. If you have a great relationship with a dealership for your mowers or your equipment, where exactly you're going to go, and you can be able to walk in and get that service, quicker than anywhere else. And I think that goes a long way, especially like you said, it gives you the merit. And you're helping everybody out. Everybody's helping each other out. And I think that comes in a long way, so Absolutely. It's like, yeah, you gotta to have your certain suppliers. I agree with you, like having, separate suppliers for certain things. Our fertilizer and grass seeds from one supplier, our mulch is, from 2 suppliers, our dirt's from one supplier. We only go to one place for our dirt. And then we go to one place for all our stone or asphalt screenings. Dump site, we go to the same place, So I think we all have that person. And if you don't, you got to find that person and find that company that's willing to help out or work with you in the long run, like they did with you, I think.
Yeah. You got some weird people in the comments today.
Yes, YouTube. I do.
You really do. You really do.
Some weird people in the comments. We've had some
Kathleen
great comments.
Richardson wants us to announce her part-time job. What?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Mac
so.
Man, I don't know.
I'll let you answer that one.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I guess they want us to announce something, and we're not going to announce it. Sorry, I'm not. You're not paying me, Catherine. I don't know why. So
if they paid you, you'd say it, huh?
I don't know. It just depends. I mean, I think it depends on what the price is, right? It's kind of like the price is right. So give me the right price.
It's words, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just words. It's just 3 words, I guess. We'll see. So I got a good question for you. Last week we talked about pasta and stuff, and sauce and pizza and all that. So here you go. I got a question for you. If you had a 9x9 room, how many pennies could you fit in the room, and would it add up to $1 million?
How many pennies could you fit in a 9x9 room? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Would it cost you $1 million though? I mean, do you think it would be $1 million in pennies?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it would be over $1 million. I really think it would be like probably 2 or 3 million, to tell you the truth. I mean, the 9x9 room is pretty big, depending on how high it is. I mean, it could be worth a lot of money. I mean,
I'm not like, I mean, the basic math might come great to some people, not me, but I'm almost certain if you just measured the width of the penny, and you could figure out, the square footage of the room versus the square footage of one row of pennies versus the height of it, you could figure out exactly how many would go in there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're talking what? A 9x9 is 81 square feet. So, I mean, I mean, that's the times the height. I mean, you're talking, yeah, I'd say it's probably a couple dump trucks at least. I mean, maybe you might want to get a room, Josh, and start throwing all your extra pennies into it.
I think so. Hold on. I'm just looking online and see if anybody says anything. It shows the formula of how to do it. So yeah, that's all it is. You basically break it out and you square it off.
Right. See, so it's a possible. I think you could get a couple million in there. You know, you're trying to figure it all out. I see it.
So you can, man. You know what? 1, 3.
Because pennies aren't that thick. You know, they're pretty thin. So
59 million. 59 million.
59 million. Wow.
That's pennies, a lot of not dollars, but pennies. Yeah. So dude, that's what I mean. It'd be excessive. Think of a penny in a 9x9. A penny in just like a small section. A penny in your shoe does nothing, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. That's very a lot. I mean, I know somebody that did their floor with pennies and glued them all on the floor, and I think it was like $300 just to put in I think it was like a 5x5 room in pennies. So I mean, yeah, that's a lot of cash if you start adding it up, you know, as you start going upwards. So yeah. So is there anything interesting that you would change that you did last year with your business that you would do differently this year?
Is there anything interesting?
Yeah.
I don't want to be interesting. I don't want to be interesting in business. I want to be plain Jane, boring. I don't want any crazy shit going on. I want to be able to control it.
But is business wise last year, is there something that just came up that it was interesting that you're like, wow, I need to change this next year? Or
the fucking lack of work at the end of the year killed me. You know, usually I roll with them up here as we get our spring rush. You know, we're balls to the wall till about July, beginning July, and then July comes. You know, that's usually when school around here gets out around like the 15th of June to like the 29th of June. So you figure people are doing all their family vacations, getting them out of the way. And then July 4th, people are away for the weekend. So you figure like mid-July is really when you're just starting to get the second wave of stuff. And it's usually like the pruning, the planting, people coming at you for like the lawn installs in the fall. You know, talking to a buddy of mine that's in the industry, you know, we both said the same thing because he was worried he didn't have work. He didn't have much work throughout the year. And I said, you know what? July's coming. Last year was the first real travel year without any restrictions due to the COVID bullshit. So like people, you know, I think international vacations were at a high since prior to COVID. So people were traveling. They were putting more money into those family vacations. But man, they never came. It just never fucking came, at least for us. And I know that was hit or miss. Because I know people in my area would say that they were we're booked all October, blah, blah, blah. You know, we got screwed on a couple commercial jobs that, you know, were supposed to be given to us, but they were pulled last minute and done in-house. So we're scrambling to try to fill the calendar. You know, our snow money didn't finish coming in until like December of last year, just a few months ago. You know, so the cash flow, it sucked. You know, so last year was kind of shitty, to be honest with you. The cash flow sucked. The accounts payable was extremely slow. And then the inquiries were slow. But now, granted, I got to be 100% honest with you. Since COVID, I haven't had to put much of anything into marketing. Like, few 10 grand over 3 years, if anything, which is nothing, right? And the work has just been there because there was such a high demand. Now, again, I've said it time and time again, we're back to the pre-COVID times where, all right, now you have to look at, you know, are you putting the 2% in? I think it's like 2% of your revenue should go to your marketing. I might be wrong on that. It might be 5%.
Right.
But a certain percentage of your revenue should go back to your marketing. So I'm like, all right, now we have to come up with these marketing strategies. Because I did use like Angie's List to try to blow it up. Angie's List was an epic failure for me. I don't think I would use them again. I'm not going to say they suck because I've talked to guys that just their business is blown up because of Angie's List. So obviously, I just think maybe for my area, it wasn't the right idea or the right time for it.
Now, have you tried like Nextdoor or anything like that? I mean, I know there's tons of different ways to advertise. Are you advertising on like Nextdoor, on Google, all that way,
So,
or you?
so I have your generic stuff. So I think we have a Nextdoor page. I stopped using Nextdoor because in my area, which is like the service area, which is somewhat an affluent area, it seems to be like the cheap of the cheap. Don't want to use that. I've got one job offered, a ton of inquiries, and they were all tire kickers. Still put the name up there. We have Google My Business where I go on there once a week and I switch something to the updates there. We're live on Yelp. We still have the free Angie's. We have the free Thumbtack. Anything that's free, like even like House. I'm listed on every free site that I can find. We have our website, and then I try to go through. I'll probably do a little bit more with Google AdWords. I like Google Business, Google AdWords. Word of mouth. I got a sales guy. My sales guy was talking about doing some more stuff with Nextdoor. Not sure. I mean, go ahead, if you can get something. Right. But we'll see. Obviously we're going a somewhat different direction that we don't want to be. I don't want it to be solely residential that it advertises to. So a lot of like sitting down and cold calling and email is going to be involved, but we'll definitely have to swallow that pill again and invest in marketing because we didn't have to do it for so long because that demand was there.
Okay. So you're seeing a downturn of business this over the last year or so?
I think it's because when people were on restrictions, they couldn't do anything. They were forced into their home, so they were investing into the home. The year after that, they already invested $20, $30, $40, $50,000 into their home, so they're going to enjoy that. They're going to actually utilize that backyard. I think what you're getting now is it's getting more competitive because you don't have the influx of customers. Everybody and their mother was doing landscape work, hardscape work, softscape work, lighting work. How many swimming pool companies are still backlogged because of the amount of swimming pools people were requesting, right?
Right.
So I think right now is you're starting to have things quiet down because now you're back to normal. You're back to normal life where you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to be, your temperature's not taken when you walk into a fucking bakery, so you're good at that point. Where I think people are spending their money other places. You also had an influx of contractors that came into the scene. So you had a lot of guys that were just doing lawn maintenance that decided, hey, I'm going to get into hardscape and do that. So those industries, our industries kind of flooded out with a lot of people. The great part about it, everybody's money went through the roof. When I say money, I'm talking like hourly rate. Like these increases that should have been done years ago, and even for guys mowing. Guys in my areas that were having a hard time getting $70, $80 were getting $1.25 minimum, and they were getting it because guys couldn't sustain, the cost of business and maybe they had to stay home with the kids or whatnot, whatever. Labor rates went up, wages went up to employees. Current time and day, what I've seen there's not as much of a demand for work right now. Some areas there are. I think there's a lot more contractors and the bidding process is more competitive now. Before, a client couldn't get a contractor to commit to a date. So if someone came in and said, hey, yeah, I can do it in 2 months, dude, you get a deposit for like 20 grand right there, just to rail them in, and you had it. That was just a song and dance. I was collecting deposit checks left and right. Now, again, when we weren't advertising, we were getting a lot of word of mouth. People were stopping us. They'd start to see us on Facebook or social. This is how it was before COVID. You'd have to put the money into marketing, and every year, you'd have to have your budget for your marketing. You'd have to do your flyers, your Facebook, all that stuff. But I think consumers are getting those quotes. They're going back to getting those 3 to 5 quotes. You have to be competitive in your quote, not cheaper necessarily. And that's one thing that's killing me. A lot of guys now in hardscape out here that were starting to get up to the 30, 35 across the board are now hovering back down to 20 to 25, which is absurd for what you should be paying a guy in your overhead for this industry. Right. I don't know why you would take, 2 steps back when it took so long to go forward with the increase in wages and labor rates.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's changed. We have Wildman on the right. He says that landscaping is very underpaid in the UK. Do you think that it's still that way in certain areas, or do you feel like a lot of areas have increased since COVID? I mean, I see that it could be underpaid. I think I think there's still a lot of companies out there that aren't where they should be. And I think that could affect us that are actually where we're at. We know our numbers. We're at our right minimums that we're supposed to be at? Do you think that still affects business in the long run?
That it's underpaid?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like people
absolutely. Absolutely. Landscaping, we like to think we're in the trades, but we're not. We're not respected like we're in the trades.
Right.
Basically, what you have is you got a glorified high school's job because you don't take it seriously, because you got these grown men that show up to a place with an $80,000 truck and a fucking $20,000 mower and want to cut a lawn for $30. Again, I've said this time and time again, this is a demand kind of luxury service. You don't need, unless you're like handicapped, you don't need somebody to do it. So it's like, of course you're going to pay a guy 15, 12, 15, $20 an hour when they should be making 25, $30 an hour. I mean, look at the economy we're in right now. You go to the grocery store, how far is 15 to 18 bucks going to get you? You know? So it's like, if you professionalize this industry a little bit more with having standards and having agreements and maybe some contracts and actually press them, you and train your staff, don't just go in and be, I hate the phrase chucking the truck, but chucking the truck, sell a product that people want. You can charge more, you can pay more.
Right.
It's the same idea. But yeah, I think it's extremely underpaid. I've said it before. I don't think that this industry should unionize, but the laborers should definitely organize. But there has to be a give to that. Like, if you're a laborer and you want to make 25, $30 an hour, like, you have to produce that result as well. Like, you have to be able to put out a good product. You're not just there because you're fucking there because you know someone. Like, you're there because you're good at what you do and you have a craft. Skilled labor is what you want. A lot of guys are just desperate. They go after unskilled labor, which is your guys that show up in their Air Force Ones with their jean shorts, not knowing what to do, don't know about eyewear. You don't properly train them. You get them to the point where they're all right because they might last 6 months. But it all goes back to the leadership. Attitude reflects leadership, payment reflects leadership. Yeah, I mean, there's some scummy ass landscape owners out here that don't want to pay, but then they're living in mansions and nice cars. Listen, there's nothing wrong as a business owner. I should get a bigger piece of the pie because it's my ass, it's my risk. But at the same time, I want to know that I'm setting my guys up, at least on my side, that they can live comfortably. Whether or not they are by their choices is on them. But at least I know if someone comes and works for me, that they can at least live without worry. And that's my goal, to get to that point where I can bring people in and like, it's going to be a privilege to come work for Caravan Green because you'll make a livable wage as a laborer and you'll work your way up. But yeah, I think it's underpaid across the country, and people just do it because, again, it's the easiest route to start a business. And it's one of the easiest industries to get in as a laborer. You don't need skill. You'll get skill and you'll get good money if you have skill, you'll get in quickly and you'll get a decent pay. But yeah, I just think there needs to be more to it. More guys need to be on the books so they can collect unemployment, or you need to find year-round work for these guys. Broaden your horizons and get into other stuff, or pay the unemployment rates as an employer and let these guys take a layoff so you retain your employees.
Correct. I agree with you on that. So now, if you bring somebody in, do you send them to, like, I know like Technoblock's having the training, and Unilock has training every year. There's various influencers that are doing these trainings and these.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry, but training's such a loose fucking word for these classes. I've done these classes. These classes are a sales pitch. They're a sales pitch to organizations. Some of them will have some decent training seminars. Or they'll have a section of training like Teco does. They used to throw pay repeat in there. They would do something, but a lot of them, it's like, hey, throw some swag. These are the new products, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, it's a sales pitch on the contract side. Why you should use us. This is why you should bring them in, and they do explain to you the new products and how they work. But I don't think it's training. Again, if you want training and you have a guy, ICPI, send them to the classes.
Okay. So you think that in the long run is a lot better than going to, like, even I know there's an influencer that's doing like a training class, with 2-day training class. Do you think that's better to go through ICPI than over like
who's the influencer?
He's somebody who's
the influencer?
Almond.
Caleb Almond. So I'm going to tell you, I was looking, and I'm not going to dog on him. I do like. I mean,
I know he just had one that literally had Molnar in there, and a couple other bigger guys in there that do patios.
Yeah, I think that's something. Ahmed's one of the ones that I think you can entrust. So I did a while ago was looking for something that I could just streamline the guys that would come on to watch this. And what I did is it's when he was first coming out with his software, whatever it was. I bought into it. It was like $100 for like a lifetime thing. I watched it and I couldn't utilize it because there were just so many gray areas in what he was explaining. It didn't fit my model, but I wouldn't be opposed. I personally wouldn't send my guys to that. I would send them to my ICPI, and I think a lot of what he's doing is based off ICPI standards. He seems to be very by the book, and he implements his own little way. So I don't think something like it. But again, you do your due diligence. If you look into what ICPI is, and you look at what Caleb has, I do see there's a benefit for going to Caleb Allman. The guy Mulder Outdoor, I don't really know him, but I started watching some videos with him involved in it, and that guy seems like he knows what he's doing. So yeah. But, if you told me like, fucking JC's giving me a seminar on how to lay pavers. So for me, ICPI, here's the difference. ICPI out here has a guy, Bill Gardocki. Bill Gardocki, his son is Dirt Ninja. He's big all over YouTube and stuff, and I think he is starting to do some influencer work. That's just a reference for anybody that doesn't know who Bill Gardocki is. Bill Gardocki is one of the teachers, or was one of the teachers up here for ICPI. Bill Gardocki ran a very successful hardscaping business for a long time. And the methods that he teaches you outside of the installation, but also product placement, efficiencies of product placement when this is there, having laborers doing what, how to break it up. Those are things that you might not get from a cable ballman because, yeah, he's been doing it, but not as long as the guy that just retired.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff in there that goes with this guy. This guy's also seen a lot of changes in the industry throughout his time. I just think ICPI, some of the instructors you're going to get are going to cover a little bit more. And also, if you want to go extra, send them to both.
Right.
Send them to both.
I think there's some stuff that, yeah, you can learn from somebody that is doing it for, multiple years. But I think it just depends on what it is because not everybody does everything the same. So yeah, you can go learn from 5-6 different people that are doing it. But like, I agree with you, like somebody that's retired or somebody that's been in the business for years, like myself, that's been in there for 28 years, that has more experience on certain things, that experienced it over a guy that has, maybe been in only the business 6 years. I think, but there's always that point where I think, like you said, training, you need to go to the main training area, like ICPI, just like, with us, with fertilization, you go right to the state, you're going to learn the fertilization through the state the right way. And they're going to teach you that little, insight of compared to going to somebody that that's an influencer online. That's like, hey, I want to teach you how to fert. Yeah. He might teach you, show you maybe how to push it and how to calculate it, all that stuff, but he's not teaching you the laws of your state that you're in. So you're not going to know exactly.
Yeah. And then you still have to be able to do it in person. So like you go to ICPI, you're still not going to build a grade A patio off the bat, but like at least the standards and a basis of what it takes. The one thing I'm just thinking now, like that bothered me with the almond package, and I'm going to say I think this was before COVID. Right. So I'm sure that his stuff has changed by then, but like he wasn't teaching how to square off in his stuff. So it's like stuff like that. Like you didn't take the time to even just teach the 3-4-5 method. Very basic entry level stuff. It's like, you're building it. I can't remember if he taught about pitch or not. I think it was just like, it may have been just like very basics. Then that might be the point he was trying to make. But I feel like to teach those basics, there's a lot more that goes with those basics than just, hey, excavate, compact in 2-inch lifts, screed, lay, compact, cut, blah, blah, blah. So I think there's a lot more that goes into it. But I would definitely look into, if you're going into hardscape, ICPI, NCMA for walls, which is, again, it gets you the industry standard of how to build walls. It's not going to teach you how to build a wall. It's not going to give you firsthand, but it gives you the industry standard of what they expect as far as like depth of base, the different types of soils, the different types of aerial, the different type of wall material, and what you would use. So that's NCMA, and you can actually take the course and get certified. So I'm certified. I think it might be expired. I don't know if it expired of its life, but I'm drawing a blank. I love the guy that teaches it too. Anyway, yeah. So you go on. It's probably like you can take the course in a week, and it
Okay.
teaches you the very basic. The ICPI stuff, as far as I know, you have to find a course in your area, and you actually go to the course. I'm sure you can do online, but ICPI, you want to go in because they actually do in person, like laying, compaction, all that stuff. You get your hands on the tools, which is real nice. And CMA out here doesn't have that.
Okay. So I think you need to get the hands on, and learn more about whatever you're gonna put into. If you're gonna do like like you said, the walls or bricks, you need to know more than just going in and doing it from somebody else. I think you're gonna learn a lot more that way because everybody.
You can always reach out. So like, I dog on the supplier saying that stuff is just a sales pitch, but there are some sales reps for these companies like Cambridge and Teco that will come out to your site if you're having issues and like help you. Like if you're like, hey, I'm getting into patios, but like I'm having a hard time with like, maybe like my pavers at the end are all dipping or whatnot, and they can come out and give you a show. They're going to do that because they do want you to buy more. And again, that's how you build that relationship. Like I had a very good relationship with Cambridge Pavers, a very good relationship with my sales rep from Teco. I actually follow him wherever he goes because I like him, as long as I like the product,
Right.
My Cambridge guy years ago, we had a massive order. I was new to the paver yard that I ordered him from, and they weren't helping. I called him within an hour. He had a turnaround, and he had 2 trailers coming up with pavers the next morning from Jersey.
Nice. So now, do you stick with just those 2 brands, or do you work with other brands too? I mean, I know there's a crap load of brick brands out there.
There's so many, man. I mean, honestly, like we fluctuate. Teco's gotten less and less because my main Teco rep left for Site 1. He still sells Teco, but again, where he left, I started using another company that I'm very loyal to. They sell Unilock. They just started selling Cambridge and Ideal. So I kind of fluctuate between those. It all depends on the color what people want. I typically will try to stick with Cambridge or Ideal for right now. But there's they got Unilock over there. Nicolock we tried. I think Nicolock's trash. Like they were big for the summer, but the product, I hate the colors. I think the colors are ugly. They chip. The curing process is horrible. You look at them the wrong way and they crack. So,
okay, yeah.
And then Jeunesse for like the cheapest side of stuff.
Okay, nice. Well, I think we learned a lot today. We learned that knowing everything is not always good. Mulch is always great to install. Red is just not good for anybody. I don't think anybody likes red mulch, so that's a good thing. And Josh told us a lot about going to do some training. Definitely go to ICPI or wherever, but you can always look into other people and learn from other people. I think there is a lot that you can do. Can people reach out? Do you think people should reach out to other hardscapers when they're trying to get into it?
It depends on the time of year, but yeah, if you reach out to a hardscaper, from April till July, they're probably not going to answer you. Right. But I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could ask questions. You network on Instagram and YouTube. I mean, that's what. If I can make my play
call a septic guy, please. Call a septic guy. Somebody said, "What if his septic pipe clogged up?" I call a septic guy. I really would. I mean. That'd be the first thing to do, guy.
Stick your hand down there and fix it like a man. Yeah. Be a man.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we learned a lot here today. Maybe next week we can go into a little bit more about what kind of tools you use for hardscaping. I think a lot of people would like to know a little bit more about hardscaping and the tools, and then maybe touch on a little bit more of like your compactation and all that stuff, because I think some people are always looking to get into the hardscape industry. So, but other than that, I think we had a great show, guys. Keep listening to us on Spotify. Watch us here on Landscaping to the Point and Landscapes by Acme YouTube. We're over live on Instagram too, so go ahead and check us out on Instagram. Thank you, Josh, for being on and your input. It was always good. And thanks to our sponsors, Cujo Yardware for shoes. Josh just got a new pair of those sledgehammers. He loves them. He's going to be wearing them every day, right, Josh?
Yeah, right.
especially when you pour concrete. That's what they're for. So
I'm being
thank
nice here. So I'm being nice.
yeah, I know you are. Thank you, Josh. You guys have a great day and have a